Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Heart to Heart Connection Summit. I am so glad that you're able to join us for another conversation. And I am your host, Susan Peters. Today I have with me Adrienne Rivera. Thank you for joining us, Adrienne.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad you are. And Adrienne has been working with me on breath work to help me to get through the loss of my husband, John. It's a difficult journey going through grief and loss, but I have found that breathwork has been an amazing way to be able to get through that. And I'd like to share a little bit first about who Adrienne is, and then she can share a little bit about what breathwork is. Adrienne Rivera is the founder of Breath of Gold. She is a world-renowned breathwork facilitator, breathwork trainer, and spiritual business coach. She has curated one of the top trauma-informed breathwork certification training programs in the world that features guest lectures from a doctor, neuroscience expert, lawyer, therapist, paramedic, and more. Adrienne specializes in supporting entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business owners to reach new levels of success through the practice of breathwork. She is also a sought-after speaker, best-selling author, creator of the Breath of Gold journal, and creator of the Breath of Gold Oracle deck. Her clients have said things like, "That felt like 9 years of therapy in one session." Adrienne's upbeat energy, passion for breathwork, and ability to intuitively guide breathwork experiences elevate her classes to a truly exceptional level. She believes that all of the answers that we are looking for can be found within the breath. So, Adrienne, I'd like you to share a little bit more about that with us.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm deeply honored to be a part of this summit, especially with it being around connecting to your heart, falling in love with yourself again, and also journeying through grief. My third ever breathwork session that I stumbled upon, I had no idea that grief would come up. And where I was living at the time in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, I had a friend who spontaneously had gotten bit by a rattlesnake and passed away. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I wasn't that close with him. Well, after a week, I won't care anymore. Well, and I was trying to negotiate with myself why I shouldn't care about the loss of my friend, which is sad. And I think that a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people think to themselves, we can't grieve. We don't know how to grieve. And so I remember just a few days later going to a breathwork class and crying for the entire 90-minute breathwork class. And it felt so good. It felt like a deep reverence, a deep honoring of my friend and appreciation that when I first moved to that tiny town, he was the one who introduced me to all my friends. And that was really special. And realizing that he did have a big impact on my life, even if we didn't know each other for that long, and it was really challenging. And so then the journey of grief for myself has come more so to the surface the last year with losing both of my grandmothers. First, it was my Puerto Rican, my abuelita, my Puerto Rican side grandmother. And that was an interesting one. And what I learned from the first time using breath work to grieve is that it's important to honor people. It's important to feel. And so I didn't work that whole day that I found out. Instead, I asked myself, what can I do to honor her? And the message was cook and sing in Spanish. So I cooked a really nice meal, which was great because normally I don't really cook that much elaborate stuff. And so I was cooking, I was singing, I was belting my heart out in Spanish to my grandma and crying, singing and crying, singing and crying. And I was actually staying with my sister at her house in Australia, visiting her at the time when we found out that our Puerto Rican grandmother had passed away. And she comes downstairs, she's like, "I hear you singing, but I also hear you wailing and crying. Are you okay?" And I just said, "I'm okay. I'm just feeling everything." And I felt so proud of myself that I had the tools to feel okay processing my emotions. And that is something that would not be possible if I hadn't found breath work. Before breath work, the version of me that I was very much like, oh, got to just get busy and work. Oh, we can't feel any of those harder to feel emotions. And throughout this last year, learning more about grief, it's actually made me more appreciative of the full range of emotions that we can feel as humans. Like grief is actually a beautiful emotion that is deeply, deeply filled with love and reverence for someone. And when I was crying and just sharing with her, I shared with her that it felt like part of me was dying. I'm half Puerto Rican. So it's like, wait, but they're the reason why we're like celebrating this part of our heritage, our culture, and worrying that I wouldn't be able to sustain that without them around. And so that was really, really just beautiful to feel that, because then what opened was a deeper calling to support Latinas with breath work, and just got back from Colombia where I led many Latinas in breath work and co-led with my client who is Colombian in Spanish. And it really feels like everything is just divinely unfolding. So that's a little bit about my journey with breath work and grief and connecting with my heart.
Wow, that's just so beautiful how you share the feelings of it. And I know from my own experience, when your heart gets broken open, it opens it even more to feel more, right? Even though it's hard to enter into that sometimes. But I can see your point at how breath work opens it even more, because your heart's open already. And then when you breathe into it, it opens you to a whole new level of connection, I think. I felt that with John, and I don't know if you felt that with your both of your grandmas, and that new level of connection. It opens up, expands us. I think it's not just that we know there's somewhere else and it's a bigger place. It literally expands us and connects with us. And I think when we connect our breath to that, that's what I found, because I had thought I was journeying and opening myself and writing my book and everything. But until I jumped into breath work, I didn't realize how much more I could actually open and expand and experience. And it's so beautiful. I know my very first experience with Adrienne was on New Year's Eve. And we had a really small session of breathwork people because it was New Year's Eve. But her grandma had just passed away, her other grandma, and it was right after Christmas, and then I was there, and it's New Year's Eve and I'm by myself, but I'm doing breath work without John, too. And but then during the breath work, both of them were part of our experience, and we experienced them in such beautiful ways. I experienced the presence of John then in a way that I had never experienced before. I had experienced angels like I have never experienced before in the most beautiful ways. And then Adrienne, you had the similar experience with your grandma too, right?
That was so powerful. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. I just got chills as you shared the story, sharing about how you felt, John. That was one of the most transformational breathwork journeys that I have ever led. Like the range of emotions that were coming through me as I'm holding space were wild. Usually it's when you're on the other side breathing, not facilitating, when a lot of that comes through. And yeah, I'll never forget what I saw and what I felt like looking at your Zoom screen. And I think it was especially because you shared about him before we started the breath work. I remember you were talking about how you made like a special dinner for him. And I'm like, well, wait a second, didn't you just say that he passed? And you're like, well, yeah, I set up a nice picture. I made his favorite meal. And I was feeling teary-eyed just hearing the love that you have for him, and how you were able to create that for him was just so special. And then, a few songs into the journey, I have chills down my spine. I'm seeing him, I'm feeling him, I'm seeing like his hands on your heart in my mind's eye, like through the Zoom screen. I'm like, what's going on? I just felt so much love. And then throughout, I felt my grandma's love. And I played Andrea Bocelli, which is like her songs are all Andrea Bocelli. And then, yeah, towards the end, you shared that the piano song that I had chosen was just like John. He used to play piano, and I was like, wow, that is just wild how everything in the universe conspires to make the most beautiful thing. And as you were sharing that, I had a whole vision of like seeing him playing like up in the heavens, and there's like this beautiful black grand piano, and he's just like, I love you, Sue. It was really, really cute and amazing.
It was so beautiful. I have never had never done a breathwork journey before. That was the first time. And so if anyone doesn't know what that is, I mean, it's you lay on the ground and then Adrienne puts on music and different songs come on as we go through the journey, like within an hour's time frame. And so there's like what, maybe 12 different songs. And then Adrienne also sometimes shares things and speaks things and leads us in some guidance and visualization. Sometimes lets the music just play, sometimes gives us that little bit of quiet time that we need. And then we enter in deeper and deeper into ourselves and what might open up for us in that process. And it is pretty amazing how synchronistic some of the all of the time it happens, that some music comes up that goes exactly with what is going on inside of your own heart and your own soul. And the feeling and presence of those who are there to be with us in those moments, like John, like your grandma, is just unbelievable. And how the music coincides with that and takes us to all these new levels. And it's just one of the most beautiful things I've ever been a part of.
I'm so glad that you came when you came. It was such divine timing. And I truly believe that breath work will find you whenever you're ready, whenever your heart is open and you're really wanting to feel. If someone were to have told me, hey, you should go try breath work, it's going to transform your life, I would have been a little skeptical. I would have said, okay, I breathe all the time. Like, I do yoga already. I don't really need that. You know, I swim, I run, I'm doing breath work, right? And this style of breath work is so deep. Like, what it brings up is often tears, any emotions that are unprocessed from the soul, any realizations that we need. It is profound and beautiful, and it enters us into an altered state of consciousness in a safe and healthy way so that we can have similar messages to what people have in psychedelics, you know, and we don't need to have any sort of bad experience that may come from being on a journey for 12 hours and not being able to adjust our breath. We are in control, and at the same time we can surrender, and that's our biggest teacher. And anyone that's curious about connecting to your heart, I highly recommend that you try breath work. I remember one of the biggest heart opening moments that I got to witness was guiding a client of mine locally in Reno, who is a firefighter. And he had tried all the different types of therapies to try to really open his heart because of all the things that he's seen and not released, not cried about. His dad had passed away 5 years ago, never shed one tear until he came to breath work, and he cried and wailed like a baby and just allowed himself to release and had the most beautiful experience. It was so transformational to witness and to be a part of viewing that. So yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, I think it's so beautiful what you are doing, and how you guide it. You guide it with a heart-centered space. You're not just leading us, through songs and music and visions, and you're actually doing it through a heart-centered space, which to me is so important because what I've been finding as I've been journeying along with her every week, because she offers it every Sunday, and I don't want to miss a session because it keeps leading me in new ways to discover even more new dreams now. It has opened me up to say, I don't have to worry so much about the loss anymore as to what can I create? What can I bring to the world? What is my purpose for being here, and how can I share that? And I probably wouldn't have had the courage enough to do this summit if it wasn't for breath work, because it really has helped me to kind of be able to find my own heart and my voice at the same time, to say, hey, what I'm learning is not just for me, it's to share with others. And that's the whole point of this summit. Is I want to share that loss can have meaning, that we can go deeper into our hearts and share that with others, because that's, to me, what is important is the connection to other people. And I'm sure along your journeys, Adrienne, that you have found all your connections that you have made and the collaborations that you make with your other breathwork people that you work with, that all makes a difference too in your own journey and their journey and in helping even more people.
Yes, it is such a key, such a game changer. I find that breath work gives us something that might have been missing within ourselves or not fully embodied or realized. And often that comes from layers of the past, conditioning, childhood, societal conditioning, limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, as well as overwhelm, like a lot of overwhelm nowadays, thinking we have to be like that person, do what that person's doing, have that business model that that person has. And it keeps us stuck. It keeps us paralyzed. And then what happens is we become disconnected. We become disconnected to our intuition, our inner knowing, knowing how we feel, knowing what's true to us. And we just start going through the motions rather than having the clear inner knowing around what is right for us at this time and really meeting ourselves where we are at. So I often use breath work now for business. I use it to stay innovative. I use it to stay creative. I use it to stay connected to the vision, connected to the mission. And that's really key as well. So this is what I love about breath work. It can be used for, processing grief. It can be used for business clarity. It can be used for feelings of deeper love and expansion and gratitude, spiritual experiences like meeting loved ones that have passed, or even loved ones that are still alive. When I was in Colombia, I was leading and I remember seeing a woman who was just starting to cry. And the message was like, go over there, lay your hands on her. So I had my hands on her shoulders. And then afterwards it was like, go to her hands, and I held her hands. And as soon as she did, her whole entire face changed. She really allowed herself to cry and unleash. And the message I received was, this is her mom. It was like her mom's energy coming through me, but it felt like her mom was still maybe around. And at the end, she was sharing, she's like, but that wasn't you. And then at the same time, we said, it was your mom. And it was wild. She felt it too. She's like, my mom's still living, but they got to have this beautiful moment of love through that breath work. Energy knows no time and place, which is why we can meet people who have passed and people that are still living. It's so incredible.
Yeah. Oh wow. That just gives me chills just hearing that. That's
Yes.
so beautiful and so wonderful to know that people, like you said, don't have to die for us to change and transform our lives and become our authentic selves. Because I think that's what breathwork has done for me. It's really helping me to become my authentic self. And I can find who am I really? We all wonder, who am I? What is my purpose? Right. But I find that breath work really like takes you in and just kind of helps you put those pieces together and guides you to see who you are and be truly happy who you are, and not say, I need to be somebody else, or I'm not like this, or I should be more like that. No, it's all within us, and it brings out the best in us, and the whole value of who we are, which I think is super important after loss, because we definitely lose our identities after we lose somebody close to us, because we're not quite sure who we are, and also who we are in the world, and so through breath work we can start discovering that we do have a place and a purpose, and it is important.
Yes, we all have a place, we all have a purpose, and breath work makes things really simple and really clear. And what I've been told through breath work so many times is that my purpose, our purpose, is simply to be love.
Mm.
If you're being loved, you are in your purpose. And I love that so much because I know for myself as an entrepreneur, there's so much talk around find your purpose, find your purpose. And I genuinely believe that that is a waste of time, because you're always in your purpose if you are love. And when I first started my business, I was a fitness coach. Then I became a business coach, and then I created the breathwork certification, and everything has led me on my path, but I couldn't have done one without the other. Everything was a stepping stone on the path. And so I truly believe that I was part of my purpose in all of them. And I could go back to any of those businesses and still be in my purpose if I am being love. And so I think we get to remember that it's more simple, and our brains like to complicate it. And when we do circular connected breath, which is breathing in and out through the heart space, it does just that. It connects us to our heart space, so that we can feel the simplicity of what's really true.
Yes, you are so right. I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly what I feel every week in breath work. It just goes right to my heart, and it is so simple, and it is so pure, and it is so beautiful and so perfect. And we have nowhere, we don't have to look any further than ourselves. It's right there
Mhm.
within us. And then I mean, I also feel while I'm in that space that I am so much more connected to everybody else while they're in their space too. Like, it's like you're by yourself, but you're not, and I think that's a beautiful thing too, because we're all being so true to ourselves that the love is just like permeating all or the whole space that we're with, which I think is even super fascinating, because we do it on Zoom, and it literally feels like we're all together in a room somewhere, and we're not. We're all scattered all over the place, and yet we still are together through our breath. And what's the one thing that connects all of us is our breath. And when we're born, we take a breath, all the way up until our last breath, and that's what keeps us alive and going. And when we can connect into it with love, wow, 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 right?
Yes, yes. It's truly a game changer. The way that it transforms us, the way that we can grow and evolve. I'm so grateful for it. And yeah, I believe that everyone needs to try it. And that's actually going to be my offering for people. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome. Would you like to tell them about it a little bit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So my free gift for everyone here listening is the Breath of Gold membership. You can join with the first time free Sunday breath work, but we actually have something special right now going on where the thank you page is actually try it for a month free. So yeah, by the time the summit is live, you get not only Sunday, but you get all 4 Sundays, and that's going to be amazing, along with all 200 different recordings. You can think about it like Spotify, but for breath work and inner work, like kind of how on Spotify, I don't know if you use music search engines like I do, but I'm like, oh, I'm baking bread music. There's a playlist for everything, just like there's a breath work for everything. So there's inner child healing, there's creativity, there's abundance breath work, there's Mercury in retrograde breath work, there's connecting spiritually breath work. There's all these incredible themes that we've created over the last, I think it's been like 4 years now. So it's been amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that is so awesome. And please take advantage of it. You won't be disappointed. I mean, this is a great offer, 4 weeks. Wow. And it's something that has literally changed my life, that I literally can't live without now. It's just so it's a precious gift, and it's a gift of life and love, and it just helps to spread love more, because I can share more.
Mhm.
Speaking of love, I just have to ask you this one question, because it has to do with me marrying my heart and writing my book about that. And I'm just curious, the very first time I told you that I created a dream to marry my heart after my loss of John, and to show my journey, what you thought of that.
I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was so special and so inspiring to go that deep on a journey of self-love. I know for myself, before I found breath work, I felt like everything was external. Love was external. I needed a man my entire life to be happy and all of that. And I think that two parts, one part that really inspires me about your story is how spiritually connected you still continue to be with John. What I've seen and what I've witnessed with you in breathwork, and how many times he's come to you, and how much connection you feel with him, it's truly like unreal. And I'm someone who believes everything is energy, but to feel how you can still like maintain a relationship and a love so deep even after loss, like that part really is just so inspiring, and I love that a lot. And then the other part that I love about your story about going on your heart honeymoon and marrying your heart is how you took the risk of traveling I know that you had your entire retirement plan and you were going to travel with him. And as a person who's also married, it's way easier to travel with someone, especially your husband. You know, they kind of show you the way and you feel safe. And for you, you took the risk of going out there alone, having a whole thing, and then sharing with people, strangers, about your story and what you were doing. And that is so inspiring. I feel like that takes tremendous courage to share your story to strangers and to travel alone. So I love it so much. And I hope that anyone listening who's also a widow or even just needing more self-love, if Sue's story resonates with you, marry your heart, buy yourself a ring, like read her book, and just know that it's a journey. The journey, you think you've made it, and then you go down a little bit, and then you make it, and then you go down a little bit, and it's beautiful. And as long as you are remembering that you are loved, and even if you drift and you come back, you are loved, then everything unfolds exactly as it should.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's life is never perfect, no matter how we choose to love ourselves or what we enter into. But with all of these special things to guide us along and help us, and the support of each other, and the ability to share in breath work and in storytelling of our hearts, it's all bringing us together in new ways. And I love that possibility of that's the fun of sharing our stories with each other and bringing our hearts together.
Mhm.
So, well, I'm so glad to have had you today on, Adrienne. Is there any last things you want to share?
No, I'm just hoping to see you at Sunday breathwork. I'm hoping to see you not only for one, but for an entire month of breathwork. It will transform your life. You'll get to see Sue. You'll get to see me.
I'll be
Come breathe
there.
with us.
I will
Yes.
definitely be there.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Adrienne. And thank you all of you for listening and being part of this conversation today and part of this summit. And I ask you to breathe well. Bye.
Bye.